This case, it's messy. Not only does it involve a slew of lawyers, but the rich and the powerful. So stick with me, I'll explain here. At the center of it all, Terry Bean, the prominent Portland developer and activist, is facing criminal charges for allegedly sexually abusing a then 15-year-old boy in Eugene in 2015. He's pleading not guilty. Earlier today, Bean's ex-boyfriend was convicted of the same charges in the very same case. Yesterday, Bean filed a lawsuit against a detective and the prosecutor in the case, along with a Portland lawyer. Bean claims law enforcement worked with the civil lawyer to coax the young man into testifying against Bean in the criminal case, with the idea the alleged victim could get a big payday later. That alleged victim did indeed file a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against Bean. Both sides have accused each other of breaking the rules or lying. The civil lawyer, Sean Riddell, who represents the alleged victim and is now being sued by Bean, issued a one-word response to today, quote, nuts. The prosecutor, Eric Hasselman, who's also being sued, shared his own statement saying in part, quote, it appears Mr. Bean attempts to intimidate his adversaries through his considerable resources, including his legal teams. The police detective, who is also being sued by Terry Bean, was not available for comment. Back to you.
Kyle, thank you. What a saga.